Hello and welcome to this special edition of the ILEETA Learning Lab. My name is Joe Willis. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and your host for today. So I'm here with Mark Beluscak and Eugene Matthews. And today we're going to talk about taking that class that no one wants to teach, that students don't want to attend, and turning some dials and making it that much better using a little bit of AI magic. So without any further ado, I don't want to spend too much time with me talking. I want to turn it right over to you guys. Mark, Eugene, tell me about this course.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe. Just so everyone knows, Dr. Matthews and I, we approach these things probably from a unique perspective. We are associated with a community college, and I know that's not true for the rest of the country. Law enforcement academies are sometimes agency, but in many places they are associated with a community college. And we would suggest if people are not associated with some kind of institution of higher education, please make that association, because we get the benefit of not just running a law enforcement academy, but having the perspective of we are an educational institution. So we get to be directed at, and we have access to some of the, higher minds in higher learning and learning theory. So, and we both have law enforcement experience. I'm a retired police officer. Dr. Matthews is a retired officer from the military police. So we get to cross those two worlds. And that's really what motivates us in a lot of ways to do our education. What do you think, Eugene?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. One of the things is that we kind of pride ourselves on taking the theoretical and making it practical. And this is one of the ways that you can do that quicker, faster, easier, and in a more sustainable manner. So what you're going to learn here in our training, in our workshop, is how you can take something that's usually mundane, kind of boring, maybe not exciting, and kind of pump it up without having to change a whole lot of stuff. And in fact, we take, not so much us, but we use AI to take the heavy lifting off of your plate and makes it much simpler for you to accomplish.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's kind of a funny story of how we decided to teach this class at ILEETA, because we've been doing this for a while. We discovered some great AI tools. One of them is going to be Notebook LM that we'll be talking about in the class. And again, that comes from our experience of working at the community college level. And we started adapting it to our training in our community college academy. And so then we were at ILEETA last year, and we were sitting in a room down below, and we were hearing kind of a story of woe from one of our fellow attendees. He was talking about this class. I think it was very specific to courtroom security. And he was like, "Oh, what am I going to do? I got to come up with this class on courtroom security." And Dr. Matthews and I, we know we've got the solution for this kind of stuff. So we chuckled a little bit. We're looking at each other like, should we tell him? Because truthfully, we knew this was going to change his life. So I ran up to my room. I got my laptop. I opened it up and I said, okay, give me your learning objectives. Give me any foundational materials you have that you're going to have to teach this class. And we went through the process. Really, it took us just about 20 minutes. And we gave him, even like with basic scenario work, this whole class that he could teach. And I said, okay, I mean, what's your time frame? Who's your intended audience? And using these tools, he came up with it. And I don't think I'm exaggerating, Eugene, when he looked at us like, holy cow. I think he even said, this is going to change my life. His mind was blown, and we love doing that kind of stuff. So that's really what motivated us to actually present this material that way.
And we recognize that not all agencies or entities have an unlimited budget. And so with not having a lot of budget, not having a lot of time, not having a lot of personnel, you have to squeeze a whole bunch of stuff into a small space. And AI is one of the ways that you can do that without losing any of the continuity or the quality or even compromising any of the information. One of the tools that we like is Notebook LM. Another one that we've been practicing with and playing with is Boodlebox. There's other AI tools that are out there. But one of the big things is something called bot stacking. You can take something basic, place it into this AI tool, get some specific information, take that resource, toss it into this AI tool, and end up with a program or process or some information you can actually use and relate to.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. In fact, we'll be giving our students some documents along those lines on some of the better AI tools that you can use. And then the other thing, some of the other value we find is we try to get away from PowerPoint and lecture. PowerPoint is 90s technology, and it's okay. We use it, right? We use it all the time in law enforcement academies. It tends to be the go-to, but the science shows that if you can actually engage in more scenario-based training, even for some of these classes you think don't have the capability to operate with scenario-based training or tabletop exercises, and you can actually make that happen. So we get away from a lot of that PowerPoint, and we really start to work towards what can these classes look like where you can do more active learning and more scenario-based training. And I do it all the time. I just did it. I teach search and seizure in our academy, and I just did 16 hours of that. And so again, one of the advantages, and we'll talk about this with using these AI tools, is as an instructor, I don't have the time, and because we have almost 47 students in our whole academy, and you can come up with, as an instructor, like maybe 1 or perhaps 5 scenarios, and if they're really good, it'll take you 30 minutes to maybe an hour or two to come up with a really good scenario. But with artificial intelligence, once you come up with that format and what you want that to look like, and you feed it into AI, it then can come up with very similar, same fact pattern kind of scenarios, but then do that 50 times over. So now you've taken, especially the activity I came up with search and seizure, I came up with 4 example scenarios. I had it do 50. And so now I've got a card game that I can play with my students based on scenarios called, hey, Sarge, here's your one little scenario. You find another student. Hey, Sarge, this is what I did. The 2 of you have to agree. That's the magic that you can do once you find that idea that AI can help you. And again, just like Dr. Matthews said, we don't have the time to write all that stuff generally on our own. So AI makes that force multiplier, that effort multiplier, a lot easier. And it does it amazingly quick. Now, we talk about this too. AI hallucinates, it comes up with weird things. So a couple solutions to that is, just like Dr. Matthews said, with bot stacking, they check each other. And so you generally come up with a better product. So those are some of the checks and balances. And then us as the subject matter experts in law enforcement can look at each one of those things that it generated and say, yes, that applies. Yes, that's good. No, it doesn't. So there's lots of things that we'll work with people to work through. And some people are afraid of it these days. Yeah. And I'm not afraid of nothing. I'll jump right in if it's going to help me come up with a great class for a boring topic that no one else wanted to teach.
And some of these boring topics that we have, or maybe not so much boring, but less enthusiastic or less interesting.
Yeah, talk about it more positive.
You can actually reach into current events and take one of those ripped right off the headline types of deals and apply it to your particular topic. So if we're talking about search and seizure, something that just happened in maybe a ruling came out of the recent courts, or if you're talking about officer survival, or if you're talking about something dealing with driving or emergency evacuation, something like that, you can take something right out of the headlines, apply it to your particular course in a small sniglet way, and that way you keep your training relevant, you make it relational, and you make it something that's going to be applicable to what your folks are doing on the ground. We take the theory, the ideas, the research, and make it practical. Once you make it practical, then it becomes something that folks will take from the classroom out into the street.
I love it. So can you kind of walk me through generally what I would expect, coming into the class? You got those hour and 45 minutes at ILEETA. What's it going to look like? How are you going to walk through the class?
So we'll start with, which is really, this is still the process that we do today. We'll start with what is that topic and we really want to identify that. We want to make this so useful to everyone. So bring us your tired, your poor, your hungry classes yearning to breathe free, and challenge us, right? Because we've done it for civil process, We've done it for a couple other things. And so we'll let the class choose that because, again, because we believe in the most modern educational theory, we let the class be a part of their own andragogy, which is adult learning. And so they get to pick that topic as a class. We'll have some suggestions. And then we'll start from there. Okay, this is the topic. Everybody agree this is what we're going to do. We might have time to do two, but generally we'll get through one. And so then we start talking about where could we could either come up with the learning objectives, but again, that's time intensive. So can we use AI and feed the right kind of prompt into AI and say, this is our audience, this is our source material, come up with either the general course learning objectives or the module learning objectives for this class. And so the other thing we'll talk about is backwards design. So we talk about at the end of all of this, what is the thing that we want our students to do? So going from the backward design, developing your learning objectives, then we feed that in. And generally it is at that point where AI will pretty much come up with a pretty good rough outline of the class. And that's just the outline of the class. And then so it'll go maybe every 15-minute time block. And then so we'll look at those blocks and then we'll come up with what are the learning objectives we then want to accomplish within those blocks for this class. Once we get kind of those basic things established, we can pretty much refeed everything back into AI and say, now come up with a comprehensive 2 or 4 hour lesson plan on this topic with these source materials, and it'll do it. And it'll if you do the right prompt, it'll give it out to you almost minute by minute of what you're supposed to talk about.
And you'll give examples of what those prompts look like in the class.
Oh yeah, we've engineered them all. And again, going off of the educational theory we try to do, we try to get away from the term pedagogy, right? Because it really is andragogy, and sometimes hudagogy, which is the teaching of skills, but andragogy is the teaching of adults. And and then everyone goes back to what is the learning taxonomy that we use. We're going to talk about even a new learning taxonomy called the taxonomy of significant learning experiences by some other higher ed theory people. L.D. Fink is the person that came up with those. Because if we just go off of the basic taxonomy that everyone learns, we understand that. But if you really want these classes to pop with law enforcement academy students, then you're really going to look towards some of the other ways that you can look at what you're teaching with significant learning experiences. And at the end of the process, they will come up with a lesson plan. I'm going to admit something too with that lesson plan that I hate to do that, and that they can take back to whatever agency they're doing and present it. And it'll be very PowerPoint minimal and activity heavy. Yep. One of the last things we're going to talk about is if you do want to do a PowerPoint, this is a pretty darn quick way that you can feed your information back in to get a pretty decent PowerPoint out of this too. But I bristle at that topic because I'm not a fan.
Well, one of the things is also that you don't actually have to start from scratch. In many cases, if you're teaching a post-certified course, you can grab those learning objectives, take them, make sure that they're still accurate and appropriate, toss them into a particular AI tool, and then see what it provides to you. Now, you as a subject matter expert will take a look at what AI has to say. Yes, you're not delusional. Yes, you're hitting the high points, and now we can feed it in. One giveaway that we'll share with everybody is never accept the first response. The first response is like we took a look across the world. And then if you just tell AI the same things, try it again, or redo, or regenerate, the next response you're going to get is going to be much better. And you don't have to settle. You can continue to do it again and again and again. The other piece is that, and we kind of skipped over it a little bit, was free and accessible and repeatable. So you've taken it, you've done all this hard work. We're going to give you the outline, we're going to give you the template, the format, and then from there, you can apply it to many, many other aspects. One of the big deals as a trainer, as an instructor, as a professor, is we're always learning. We're always perfecting, and we're never going to get there, but we're always working forward. And so that's the way we always did it. Doesn't apply anymore. You can take this old thing that's been on the shelf that nobody wants to teach, and now tweak it just a bit. And now it's no longer death by PowerPoint. Now you've got your activities. If you have a video, there's a particular module within Notebook LM that will actually create a very short video for you. This is not just here at the ILEETA conference that you can use it. You can take this, apply it into a variety of other use cases. You can take it when you go. You can send it out as a prerequisite videos, so your officers can read it, watch it, listen to it, engage with it, and then come to the class, then come to the training. Now they're further ahead, and we're finding that to be extremely helpful.
Yeah. And if you've preloaded that didactic information with your students, law enforcement students, this is what you're responsible for. That just frees up way more time than you come back into the classroom to do scenario-based work. And we found that to be efficient, and our learning is, we feel, gets way more reinforced into that practical realm that we're really looking for with officers.
I love it. It sounds like there's a lot of student interaction, learner interaction, I should say, between you and the folks who come to participate in this class. It sounds like you're going to kind of guide them through the process from start to finish, right?
Yep. We ain't the sage on the stage. We just we got this thing that we love, and I'm a little bit nervous, and Eugene laughs at me because we see what we do and we enjoy it, and our students have a great time. We debated about giving this away because now everyone else is going to have this thing, and that hurts me a little bit. But I'm willing to do it, Joe, because I love ILEETA, and we love what we've seen at ILEETA the last few years.
Yeah. With that, I want to remind folks, or at least encourage folks, to bring your laptop, bring your tablet, bring your device. There may be some devices there. There may be some Wi-Fi there. There may or may not be. But if you bring it, you can at least take the notes. We'll have some QR codes up there where you can download some of the information that we're going to be providing, so you can go back later and listen to it in your room, or you can take it back later to your department or to your agency, and then kind of work with it a little bit. It's not a one and done. It's just a beginning point. And the point I think I really want to hammer on is you are in control. You decide if I want to make this longer, shorter, better, more specific, more detailed, more broad. If this is just going to be for officers, or if I'm going to template that into something like our civilian counterparts who are coming through for what is it, the
civilian police academies.
Yes. Yeah.
Or the youth academies.
Yeah. A variety of things. It doesn't have to be cop heavy. It can be cop light.
I hear you loud and clear. And you could probably do a little bit of both within the same lesson plan pretty easily if you're using it this way. So with just a couple of minutes left here, I really kind of want to ask, so what are you seeing as professionals in your space using this tool day in and day out? When we look at adult learning theory, there's a lot of oftentimes people will look at AI as a buzzword, the easy answer, that sort of thing. What are you finding as far as good adult learning theory practice that AI is very specifically helping you with?
If you really know its capabilities and you know how to enter, you preload the information that you want to use and your own learning objectives, you can come out with a really good product. That's the one thing that we say about AI. AI, if you prompt it right, will give you a B product. Then you as the expert then take it and make it the A product. But as far as adult learning, then you can use AI to establish all those parameters and the force multiplier of coming up with more scenarios, or gamifying what you're doing, because then that keeps, especially with our younger cadets, it keeps them more interested in what you're doing. And as instructors, it is on us to meet. I know we've had the theory the other way in law enforcement training where they have to meet us where we're at, but I really believe in many ways it is our responsibility as instructors to meet our new students where they are at.
Yeah. Along with that, it's important to realize that AI is not a silver bullet. It's not the right thing, the right answer for every situation, But as long as you keep your hands on the wheel, you'll be able to guide your training in the direction it should go. And with that, there's not one single AI tool that you will be able to do everything for you. There'll be a lot that will do a little. And so it's going to be incumbent upon you as the instructor, you as the trainer, to find those tools that work and learn them, practice with them, explore what they can and can't do, what their left and right limits are, and then be able to apply them properly. The prompt engineering, that part will come.
I love it. Yeah, so I'm super excited about it. It sounds like this is definitely going to be a very interactive scenario that's going to take people from a baseline that they may know absolutely nothing about AI, give them a good solid introduction with some standardized prompts, some suggestions as what they could use, and then kind of help them start moving in that direction, because we're seeing that AI does give us a lot of tools when it comes to those gamifications, like you mentioned, Mark, or really getting after some of the better methods of interleaving, right? Like, how can I connect this to that and kind of circle back around? It helps us with storytelling. I mean, there's so many advantages to what AI can do. And I'm excited that you guys are offering that in the classroom at ILEETA for this 2026 conference. So if you can, you just kind of put a bow on this for me. What is it that an instructor who is sitting on the fence, because we've got so many options at ILEETA, if I'm debating whether or not I need to attend this course, what would be that determining factor, and what should I plan to walk away with?
All right. So I guess I would take that. If you have that class that you dread teaching, that one class that has to be done, right? We're all many of us are post academies, and you absolutely have to teach this class. Do you want your students at the end of that class to say, I enjoyed that class, it was interesting, I learned a lot, and that was probably one of the better classes I've had? What is the tool that you can use to make this happen? Artificial intelligence. And where do you want to learn that? You want to learn that from Mark and Eugene from Arapahoe Community College, because they are the two instructors that have probably the most optimal combination of law enforcement experience, education experience, and the application of that to basic law enforcement training.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Any last words, Dr. Matthews?
Just that when you come, make sure that you're a student. Come with your blinders off. Understand that, or just be willing to explore, be willing to learn. If you're a student, you're going to walk away with some stuff that you can use. If you come in there closed-minded, you're going to walk out the same way.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. I'm definitely looking forward to this presentation being a big part of the curriculum at ILEETA 2026. I'm Joe Willis with the ILEETA Learning Lab, and I will see you next time.